without meaning to. And it's always a surprise to me when I do this. But I listen to Fire from Your Thoughts, and his voice is so beautiful. It brings me to tears. And it's happened to me more than once. He shares his experiences with the world, inner conflicts and triumphs, social justice, and hopes for things to be better than they are maybe one day. I can't wait to talk all about it. Welcome back to the Scandalous Podcast. And Jason, Fire from Your Thoughts. How are you doing?
Hi, Ashley. How are you?
Hi. I'm good. We were talking about this incredible show last night. So
You
sad you
brought me
weren't
to
there.
tears.
Well, I mean, payback, man. Payback. You
Yeah,
always make me cry. You always make me cry. It's so
that's good.
beautiful.
That's. I don't know how to take that. Is that a good thing, or my songs just that sappy and emo, or am I just in that much pain that it comes across that way?
I relate to you so much. It's so
That's
relatable.
that's the best way of putting it. I think. I think
Yeah.
my I think that the most important thing that I get from people listening to the music is that they relate, and I think that's the most important thing I've wanted to convey to people is that I feel you. And, I've been through shit. You've been through shit. We've been through shit together. And, let's talk about it.
Absolutely. And I think the reason why it touches me so deeply, and I think I was like peppered throughout the interview as well, but your music is so beautiful. It feels like it will be the thing that changes things in the world. And it feels like,
Yeah. That's the point. That's the point. I want to change the world. And I used to be so shy about it because I think and I would kind of shy away from answering things in this type of manner because I've always wanted to be present myself as humble and not as it sounds arrogant to say that I want to be this catalyst for change, or not I want to be, or I am this catalyst for change. Sounds individualistic, and my music is about inclusion and about the rights of everyone and everyone's individuality coming together to create change. But in all essence, fuck that, dude. I want to change the world because I know as a father and as a human, as a citizen, I want people to treat each other better. And so if you feel better about yourself and you can express yourself and get your inner turmoil out, you'll be able to help and you'll be able to affect change. So if I'm that catalyst that starts that, then so be it.
what? And I love that. And I love the fire.
Yeah,
I love
I'm
that.
kind of
I
pissed
love
off
that
too these
fire.
days. I'm pissed off these days too. I'm a little pissed off. So, that's a little bit of vinegar with some of that sweet love that I try to promote. And a little bit of vinegar in there right now. A little piss and vinegar, as they say.
That's great. Yeah, I love that. That's
I'm not
great. It's
angry. I'm not
that's
angry. I mean, I'm always angry, but I'm definitely not. I'm not bitter, but I'm a little pissed. I'm not bitter, but I'm pissed. That's a better way of putting it, I think.
well, we need people like you out there to be pissed.
Yeah,
Be
you
pissed
gotta
for
get
us.
angry, get mad. You know what I'm saying? Get mad at yourself a little bit. Don't be hard on yourself, but get mad. Get mad and get angry and fucking get out there and do something. Do something about it.
Absolutely. I was on the phone talking to a girlfriend the other day and we were talking about something. And I realized I was like yelling while I was talking because I was like
Yeah.
getting angry about something.
Oh
She's like,
yeah.
I like that you're getting angry about this. And I was like, and I was just walking around my kitchen and I was just started like, it's like, God, sorry I'm yelling, but it feels really good to yell. Like,
Yeah. You're pacing
yeah,
back and forth. Oh yeah.
yeah. Well, I was
Get that shit
pacing
out.
and I was cleaning my kitchen. Women clean. I'm like, I do my best, like everything when I'm cleaning my kitchen, I'm ranting. So it was like a great rant while I was like scrubbing dishes. And
Dude,
I was
I
like,
feel you. And maybe I know you said women do that. I don't know if it's just women, but maybe because I was raised by women and I saw women do that all the time. Because as soon as I get angry, I just start cleaning and organizing. I start talking out loud and but at the same time, I'm like folding and I'm like, oh God, I'm making fucking progress. And then you start feeling better. So that purge of feelings, you got to do it. Everyone has to purge.
um, so the question was out of the gate, jumping all over you with introspective and abstract questions. When you give your entire self to a craft the way that I know you do, How do you keep something for yourself or seek inspiration in the way that you inspire others?
The recording process is always different on each record, and not so much what I do, but I think the process of how I get to finally say, this is the song, this is what I want to talk about. These are the words I want to use. These are the lyrics. This is the emotion I'm trying to evoke here. It's all very different. So I'm a different person each time. So I think I don't save anything for the next guy, for the next time and say, oh, I'm going to do that. I mean, yeah, obviously that song didn't make it, so you can try again the next time. But as far as the craft and as far as the process, I give everything. On this record, Soul Revolution, the last one, I gave absolutely everything I had. And I think that's why the reason for the record was called Soul Revolution, because I was going through a revolution of the mind and soul and body. I needed things to change in the way I felt and the soul of the nation and the world. Like I said on Be Free, was hollow. So it was, everything has been hollowed out. We've given everything. I give everything. So I don't leave anything on the table. At least I try not to.
That's a really good way to be. And that's giving everything and not holding anything back.
1000%. It's hard to do that though, you know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to things like love and comes to relationships, or when it comes to your craft. It's hard to not give yourself and to protect yourself and to not make yourself so vulnerable. But I think the honesty in my music and the honesty that I want to portray, you have to do that. And you have to open yourself for criticism, and you have to open yourself. There was a song on this record, it was like a love song called Love is Dangerous. We wanted to write a ballad. So we wrote a ballad. And, a lot of people shit on it, but, that's music and that's the industry. But at the same time, I had to really drop a lot of who I was and what I think about the type of artist I am, or what I thought about the listener. I had to get rid of all that shit and just be a completely different person and go for it. And I think we did.
And that is hard. And that's why I wanted to mention it. Wow, that's beautiful. Because, an extension of that is, oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's really fucking hard. So good job. And thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I want to know your safe place where you go when you write. Do you have a notebook, or do you go somewhere special in your house? Is there a place that inspires you to be that person that I bring it all out?
I do have an office, right? I do have an office, right? I'm sorry, actually. I was over talking. I'm sorry. See, the energy today is a lot different than, but I have an office that I go into, and I say, yeah, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write, but I have to be moving. So when I was a kid coming up and learning how to sing and scream, and, I'd throw in a Mudvayne record, I'd throw in some Slipknot, or I'd throw in Lamb of God, and I'll sit there and just scream in my car. And then when I'm done listening to it, if I had music when I was in the band, I'll throw in the CD that we had on, betraying my age here, but driving around with a CD changer in the whip, and that being the only form because there was no Bluetooth. But I put in like the CD, and I just sit there and just scream and write and write and write, and then leave a voice note on my phone or something like that, and that would be my process. That starts a song. I do have a book of lyrics, and I do have notebooks, and I do write down a lot, and a lot of stuff starts as poetry and just free thought. And from that free thought, I'll just take ideas, and I'll take I'll connect the dots and find a through line. So my safe space really is just out in the wild, man, because you gotta get your hands dirty a little bit. You gotta see people. You have to see the world while I'm writing about it. On tour, I like to write a ton. Like even after a show, I'll get off stage and I'll go into the green room and I'll start just doing a voice note, because I'll be looking at the faces of the people, and I'll be talking to the people after a show, and you can hear what they're going through, especially when it comes to Fire from the Gods, because a lot of people, I'm not overqualifying myself here, but I can become their their music is their therapy. So when they meet me and they want to talk to this person about where did that come from and how did that and how it affected me, that in itself inspires me. So I start writing right there in my head. I'll start taking something that I've learned from them and I'll start putting it down in my head, and then I'll go back and record a voice note. So I'm out there in the wild writing all the time.
That's so interesting. I've, all the interviews I've ever done, I've never heard of an artist like journaling or taking notes about their experience of playing live to the audience. Like I've never heard of that before. That's really fascinating.
Yeah. Even the dude that sits there with his arms crossed, that like, oh, well, you can see the visible disdain because I don't want to hear to listen to you say what you have to say. Or like someone said one time, like, oh, Fire from the Gods, when we went on tour with Norma Jean, they were like, holy shit, that's going to be a night of preaching. And I was like, oh my God, I don't give a fuck. I talk to the crowd. I talk to people and I want you to hear me. I want you to hear what I have to say because I think what I have to say is going to affect your life in a positive way. So you know what? You can listen or don't. I'm still going to stand up there and do it. I don't give a shit.
Wow.
I know that's totally off topic, but whatever.
No, it's not. It's not off topic at all because we're always at shows and we always see that. But I think like the Impress Me Bro people that Justin calls it is like the Impress Me Bros. I think those people like,
I like that.
Yeah, they're arms crossed. He calls them the Impress Me Bros. It's good. It's good. I think they're there. Like I think maybe those people. I've just a random thought. They have been very affected by like one or two single songs. And they came to your show because of one or two single songs that they've listened to over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why they're doing it, because they're just like waiting for their song. And maybe they don't. That would be nicer to know for an artist, like, oh, they're not like, you're hating on it. They're just like really, it's like one song or something. That would be kinder.
We'll play a whole set. And for those people that know us as the band that came out with that song right now, they'll sit there and they'll jam and they'll be like, oh yeah, this is cool. But then they'll do this, once Right Now starts, that's the phone coming up. Like, okay, here's my song. So let me now bring my phone out to record, which is cool. I'm not knocking people for that, but I'm just saying, yo, get involved. But I don't care. There's more people that love fucking Fire from the Gods and love to hang out and watch a band than there are people who are the Impress Me Bros,
Absolutely. And yeah, it's beautiful stuff. And God, right now though, is like, I don't know, just thinking about that song, I'm like, oh.
I hate it because it's a good song. And I don't want it to be, oh, that's their only good song, which I don't think that's true. No, but I know for a lot of people, it's like, yeah, oh, that's that band, And as I learn about the industry and as I learn about how being a internet band or a band that does well on the internet versus a band that does well on the radio, I know that dynamic of how one song can impact your career. And that can become what defines your career, which who the fuck came up with these fucking rules anyway? But I guess that's just the way people think, and music and the industry can be part of social engineering to a way so that people only see you as that one person. They only see you as that one song. And I think it hinders us a lot. It hinders bands, it hinders our genre a ton because we're always, there's this whole like tribal definition there's this definitive line between, oh, I go to shows for the bands I hear on the radio versus I go to shows for the fucking bands that rip up clubs and are underground, so to speak, which it's bullshit, Just, everyone deserves an equal shot and everyone listened to by everyone. I don't know. Like it just me getting in my feelings a little bit.
No, I love it. I'm on your side. I love your energy. I'm like, whatever you're saying, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hyping you up. Like,
your podcast has become
we're
less
talking.
scandalous and more informative, it's always been informative. And you've always done fantastic journalism, which I admire about your pod. But, I think you're less scandal now, I think you really, I don't know. It's cool. I like it. Maybe that's part of growth. I don't know. Am I being obnoxious here by saying that?
No, not at all. That's lovely. And like, what a wonderful compliment. I can't thank you enough. And me laughing and saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, it's been fun watching your energy going like hyping you up in that way. I don't know. It's just
Yeah, I
fun for me.
know. I know.
I'm like,
Yeah, I
yeah.
know. You're egging me on. You're like pushing me to like continue and rant. But I'm gonna shut up now. All right, questions.
I
Let's
love it.
go.
No, well, I have to address what you said. No, I don't know if I've ever told you the whole Scandalous thing, which you brought up. So quickly, Scandalous was a nickname given to me by the singer of the first band I was ever really, really, really good friends with. So
Okay.
first show I ever went to, got backstage, hung out with everyone, see their crossfade, went to their hotel, party, so much fun. Looked around, realized that people are real, the industry was real. Went to every single show, made friends with, made it my job because I wanted to be in the industry. So I made friends with like every single TM, lighting guy, sound guy, band, whatever. Never hooked up, always hung out. So I was always walked backstage and like walked into the shows early. And I was always hanging out with the bands and no one ever knew why. So everyone around me was like massively jealous. There's like group of girls pretending to light my hair on fire with a lighter one time behind my back. And the guy, like, they were just jealous. And the guy like ran up, that guy, Ryan, singer faction. He ran up, grabbed me, saw what they were doing. He's like, oh my God, everyone thinks you're so scandalous. Oh my God. And you're, as a joke, like saying I'm not. He was like, oh,
Yeah.
and then he started calling me
Wearing
scandalous.
like a badge of honor. I like it.
I do.
Fuck yeah.
So he started calling me
That's punk rock,
scandalous.
man.
Yeah. And he would like call me out on stage and be like, oh, Scandalous is in the house. So then everyone started calling me scandalous. So it was a joke because no one knew why. But I was always backstage and everything, hanging out with everyone, and no one ever knew why. So it played into what they thought about me, but it was never true.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
Yeah. So that's the whole Scandalous thing. It's a joke, and it's so much a part of like my infancy and like how I came up in the industry that I refuse to let go of it. Even though there's some people, very like the biggest people in the industry have been like, oh, you can do what you want, you'll be successful, but you can't do it with that name. And I don't care. It's my story. Like, it's me, like, not changing. So it's so ingrained in me and my story.
Never change. Fuck them. I like it. You never told me that.
Yeah, no, but everyone. So
I like that. I'm proud to. It makes me even more proud to be your friend that you say that. You stand up to people, especially there are a lot of bullies in this industry, and people, they act like your friends, but behind their back, they're bullying the shit out of you because they want you to feel small, to make themselves feel bigger, especially when it comes to who are friends and who hangs out. And yeah, we all know each other, but man, that's a lot of fucking bollocks.
Kind of talking, this is a perfect segue. I wanted to ask you, when I go to a lot of the same parties, a lot of the same people, but someone you haven't met, is there anyone that, that you've known or would like to encounter that has really touched you, touched your heart, touched the way that you create music, that has really inspired you, that you haven't met yet, that you would love to sit down with, thank them, talk about their craft, thank them for what they've done, how they've inspired you? Because I know everyone. Is there someone you haven't met that you're like, I love?
Yeah, I do, but the obvious is, a person I've met once or twice, but never really were able to kind of kick it and have any sort of real interaction with, just more or less like a handshake and oh, yo, what's up? Oh, hey, man, that kind of deal. It's a real big obvious, Corey Taylor. I've never really sat down with Corey or had any real meaningful interaction. And of the vocalists that really inspired me, I've met them all. I've met all my metal heroes, so to speak, but I've never really kicked it. And I've kicked it with all of them, all my heroes that I looked up to. in this business, I've met them and kicked it with these guys and had very meaningful conversations and hung out. But Corey Taylor's the only one that I really have not. And I think because Slipknot's music means so much to me, it's one that I'd really love to. Like, I love Korn, and I loved Korn, and meeting and hanging out with Jonathan Davis and talking to JD on the regular, and gaining and knowledge from him and being inspired by him. Now it's just like, oh, I'm going to call my big bro JD kind of thing, or I'm going to send JD a message, and we're going to exchange a few messages. But Corey Taylor, I really want to sit down and I really want to talk to him about the early years of Slipknot, and not the interview shit, not the stuff, the violence and the cathartic nature of the music and all that kind of shit. No, I really want to talk to this guy, because I think Corey is a very deep and interesting and meaningful person, and his lyrics, as very surface and even sometimes can be interpreted as superficial, have a very deep meaning. And it talks and it really feeds into the dark, visceral nature of humans and the inner workings of the human soul. And I really want to talk to him about that kind of shit.
Well, and I was thinking about this last night, watching Matt Heafy perform at the show last night. Like, someone like you, like Corey Taylor, like Matt Heafy, I really love that there's like men of honor in really high positions in this industry. There's some, that would be a little debatable, I think, for all of us. Everyone would be like, oh, that guy. But I really like thinking about the ones that are, high up in power and that you just know are really good people, and they have morals and they have character and they stand up for what's right. And I think he's someone that definitely does that. And, he is like a person, of character. And I value that so highly. And I was thinking of like how cool it is. I really like knowing that, the biggest of the big in our industry are like really fucking good people. And they will, there are
a lot of cool dudes out there, man. And a lot of cool, people. And I'm not just saying the guys. So when I say dudes, I mean, I could be talking about Carla, and Heidi, which are really awesome dudes too, but there are a lot of cool people. And, I've gone through kind of some of the same struggles. I'm not a young man, but I'm young in this business, and that shows. And sometimes when I'm out and if I'm having a rough day and I might hit the sauce a little bit too hard, some of the big dudes in this business will be like, yo, bro, what's up? What are you going through? Well, they'll send me a DM, be like, yo, what's up? What's happening? You all right? And I have to, I gotta give my hat. I gotta tip my hat to a lot of these guys. And maybe it's because they've been through this and they've seen this before and they speak from a position of experience, or they're just genuinely good people that want to say, let me look out for this young man. Dave Mustaine had a lot of very interesting things to say when we were on tour, and we didn't like kick it on the regular, but when we spoke, it would be like an hour-long conversation. And he's a really deep dude. He's a very intelligent individual. He's been around, and he's been around the block a little bit, and he has a lot of insight on some things. And when I first met him in Germany, when we were on tour in Europe, and immediately after the set, he was like, hey man, let me talk to you about something. And some people probably, because it was me and my nature the way I am, I think I took it like, thank you very much, Dave. Whereas I think some people would be like, who the fuck does this guy think he is? And maybe a little bit of me, I should have been like that. I should have been like, who the fuck do you think you are? But at the same time, I just took it like, thank you very much, sir. I'll see you in a few months when we actually talk together.
Yeah. Well, it's a podcast, you opened it. So like, what did he talk to you about?
He thought he witnessed something that didn't really happen. And then he went into talking about something that used to happen to him. And I don't necessarily want to get into that specific thing.
Yeah.
But I was like, dude, I get it, because he was talking about how it can affect me being a performer, how it can affect me and my long-term ambitions. And he was like, let me tell you a story about something that happened to me. And what he imparted to me was very good knowledge. And I think it really came from a very genuine place. And that genuine place was, let me talk to this young guy in this business and let him know something. And then when we were on tour, he had these like, he would say, some of he's like, don't you think that's a little cliche? And I could have been like, dude, who the fuck do you think you are to say this about my art? But I got where he was coming from, because he observed something else about me and said, there is something very special about what you're doing and who you are and what you're talking about. And don't compromise that because you want to appeal to this larger audience and you want people to think one way about you, And Ivan said the same thing. And, hanging out with Ivan and sitting down with Ivan, he said the same exact thing. And you know what? He's not the only person to say that. Like, don't compromise yourself and try to be this metal, like, vocalist guy that sits up there and puffs out his chest and says, I am this fucking metal god, or I aspire to be this metal god, and look at me. He's like, no, just be truthful about who you are. Tell your story. Don't try to emulate someone else, thinking that's going to garner the affection of the fans and the affection of the crowd and the attention of the crowd. Just do what you're doing. Sing the way you want to sing. Sing, use your voice. Speak with your voice. Speak with your heart. And he's like, people will love it, and people will actually reward you for it because they understand and they relate. And I've had to tweak my game a little bit, because I think for a long time, when I was younger, I used to do the same thing, man. I'll shred my voice up every night, trying to be as brutal as possible, because I want people to hear that and be like, oh yeah, this guy is that dude. But maybe I'm not that dude. Maybe I'm just AJ, and I have to sing about what really affects AJ and sing with AJ's voice. Not try to be Corey Taylor, not try to be Jonathan Davis, not try to be Randy Bly, not try to be Chad, of Blood fame, not try to be Phil Anselmo, just be AJ.
Course, when you make me love it.
Yeah, at least I think people do.
Absolutely.
My kids need me, right? Your kids need you, right? Yeah.
No, that's very important, and it's not sustainable. Like, anytime you try and be anything other than yourself, you can't sustain it, and it's not sustainable. It's just like, it's impossible to do that anyways.
Right. To always keep up a facade, to always have to be this person. And you see it all the time. And I guess that's one aspect of the business where you have to assume a certain role, and you have to role play, and you have to cosplay a little bit, but that shit to me is like, that's that LA shit, dude. That's that Hollywood Sunset Strip shit. Everyone's cosplaying as fucking Slash or Axl Rose. Like, that ain't me, man. I'm not interested.
Well, besides,
No.
Direct.
So yeah, I'm very uninterested in that.
I love it. Well, we covered it in the first podcast episode that we did, but I wanted to do a quick history on you and your life, because anyone who hears you talk in the way that you talk would know that you have a very cool origin story. So can you tell us a little bit about where you're from, how you grew up, your time in New York? Is that the city that changed you?
Yeah, I mean, New York could change anybody, but I was blessed, and I say that strongly. I was blessed to be born in New York motherfucking city. I was born in the Bronx. My mom is American and my dad is Jamaican and English, and the English part comes in part due to, people living. Wait, let me start that again, because I know I'm just like picking it out of a hat now. But I was born in New York City. I lived in Ghana, West Africa. I spent time in the UK. My folks are Jamaican, and I've been able to just see the world through those eyes. But, when people hear me talk, they're like, "Hey, where you from? Where you from?" And then I have to go through this whole thing. But I'm an American, and I happen, and there are so many people out there like me. And when I was growing up, I used to think I was like super unique, like, oh, because I share, and it used to make me feel shitty about not having those relationships that people have. Like, people grow up in a town and they they're in school with the same people their whole life. And I went to various different schools. I went to boarding schools, I went to private schools, and you just make these very, sometimes superfluous relationships, and you don't really meet. I have a lot of schoolmates that I grew up with, but at the same time, I didn't have that rooting in one place like a lot of people did. And I used to be jealous of it, and it used to make me angry, and I used to be pissed off. But then, you meet people when you grow up, and they're like, oh yeah, I had to do this traveling as a kid. I had to do that traveling as a kid. And you're like, okay, it's not that bad. It wasn't that bad. And I look back on it and I'm like, it wasn't that bad. But, I've been around. But New York City did have a massive impact on who I am as an artist, because you see so much in New York. You experience so much in New York. And I experienced so much in New York. My 20s were wild. And, like, I did a lot of cool things, rubbed elbows and lived in, made money, lost money, had no money, just running around like a broke kid, and then running around with a kid with money in his pocket, and learning and being able to maneuver in between these various different groups of people because of my upbringing, because of my background, because, I was able to be a chameleon of sorts. And that taught me a lot of lessons. That taught me a lot about people. And it taught me a lot about myself. And those lessons and those experiences, I'm taking that and I throw that into my music. And a lot of times I used to hide my accent because I was ashamed of my accent. I've got this weird, Afro-Caribbean, English, New York accent going on. And it's because of this because of my very diverse background and my upbringing. And I used to hide it and try to, I used to work on Wall Street. So I had to have this one voice that I used, my business voice, so I would get very serious and talk very straight and make sure I spoke slowly so that people didn't hear with an accent. But now it's like, what the fuck does that matter? Why? Why was I trying to conform and be something that I wasn't? Be myself, be the person that I've always known I was. Take the experiences that I've had and apply that to my music, apply that to how I portray myself. And that's who you get in front of you today. I am who I am, and all my flaws and all the great attributes that I have, this is me. I was born in the Bronx in 1984. So now you guys know how old I am.
That's such an important message for anyone who's younger, because I would say I'm in the most secure point in my life where I know who the fuck I am, and all the shit that used to feel different about, and all the stuff that used to make you feel weird and different and like, I want to be like this. Totally off topic, but I remember one time going through my closet and I was like picking out pieces of clothing that I never wore, and I picked them up and I looked at them and I was like, oh my God, this is the dress I bought so I could like fit in with my cousins. It wasn't even for me. This is the dress, like this is the clothing item I bought so I could fit in to go to brunch in this. Like, and I just remember having this weird time. I went through my closet, going through all these clothes that like weren't even like something I like would want to wear. It was what I bought to wear to conform into certain situations. That's such a bizarre idea. And, that's a small scale of what you were talking about, but that's such a great message.
Very much on brand, on point, very much on point, and very similar. Yeah, I had suits that I have to wear, and that was because of my work. But then you had this is the brunch, the Sunday fun day brunch look, and I didn't want to turn up with my, my Cannibal Corpse shirt to a restaurant because I didn't want people to look at me in a certain social situation, because I didn't want people to look at me funny. Well, you know what? Fuck that, man. I'm wearing my butchered at birth fucking shirt because that's part of who I am, and I don't give a shit about it,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
And that's part of being a metalhead too. We don't give a shit, and we shouldn't.
Yeah. Funny story though. I did my friend Ben from New York. He introduced me to Fit for an Autopsy, one of my favorite bands currently. He's the one who turned me on to them. I used to always be able to crash in his place in Greenwich Village. And he would be like, oh, come stay however long you want. And I'd be like, will do. And we
This
used to
isn't
go
Ben
to
Goldman, is it?
maybe curly hair.
You know, I've never met Ben, but I've always talked to him over the phone. Does he work in the industry?
No,
Oh, okay, cool.
no, he's in finance, but
Oh, all right.
he's a metalhead, but kind of like you said, Cannibal Corpse. One time he took me to Soho House in New York, and was balling out at Soho on a Sunday wearing his Cannibal Corpse shirt.
That's wild, because I would go to Soho House and I'd put on a pinstripe suit just to look a certain way. Love it.
He gave no fucks, and I've never seen anything like it. And I was dressed a certain way, so I fit in. I never had the idea to do that, and that it was such a foreign idea to me. Like, honestly, I would never, I would have never done that. And he just wore Cannibal Corpse to Soho House, and I was like, wow. And then his friends were like,
really,
that metalhead.
You think about that shit, dude. It really puts some people would hear that and be like, why? You know, if you are one person, be true to yourself, dude. But there's so much societal pressure. And in that setting, there's so much pressure that you can put on yourself. And when you're not sure of yourself, that pressure becomes the idea that motivates you on what to do and how to do things. And that pressure starts to become the way by which you live your life. You know, when you're confident, like your boy Ben, was at the time, where he still is, I was very unsure of myself because I was just it was in a place of always wanting people to like me and wanting to be accepted. And that's more or less what it is. Not so much about people liking me. I just wanted to be accepted because I never felt like I had a real home or a real place, because I was always moving all the time. So that became part of my my life and my mantras, and just be this chameleon, be constantly changing and go with the wind. But fuck that, man. I want to be a rock hard and stop.
Well, everyone who is younger, who doesn't feel like your identity and the solidity of your identity will come to you, and don't be ashamed. That's what AJ is.
Don't be ashamed. Exactly. That's what if there's anything that anyone could take from that, is when you're not feeling stable, just take a second, breathe, and look at yourself, and know that that's the face that you're always going to have to face. You're going to have to face this person on the regular. Who do you want to be? Who is that person?
I love that. All the feels, feels great. Whatever.
Yeah.
At the end of the chest.
Man, you gotta just keep your you gotta keep your head always on the swivel, but at the same time, you stay focused. Because if you don't, you'll lose, and that pressure, those societal pressures will move you to and fro, and you'll constantly be moving on this. You won't be in your equilibrium. Your axis is always going to be changing, and you're not going to have any real direction. And I think direction is important.
So that is actually, I'm a huge fan of Aaron Doughty. And he helped me. You can, Aaron Doughty, AARONDOUGHTY on YouTube. He saved me so much money, and he helped me so much in the past 2 years. And what you're talking about is being solid in your frame. And, if you're a fan of therapy or anything like that, he's one great person to listen to about learning to be solid in your frame. And when you're solid in your frame, all the external shit can't fuck with you. And that's the way you want to be. So just want to throw that out there. As one person, I would listen to it. I'm like, yeah.
Frame. Yeah.
Yeah. Like solid in your frame. Like I'm a recovering empath. So that's your shit. That's not my shit. When people unload on you unfairly, or if they try and dump on you for something that's not your fault, if you were solid in your frame, it falls off, like rain on your umbrella. Like it can't touch you. It's fine. So when you're solid in your frame, what you were talking about, this shit can happen to me. Yesterday, 89 things went wrong, but I kept going and I was fucking fine. And it's because I was solid in my frame and fucking everything.
Stand your ground, stand your ground, stand up for yourself. And by standing up for yourself, people think that's like fighting back or something like that, but not necessarily. Standing up for yourself is just being unmoved, being unwavered.
So but back to talking all about you. I love you so much.
Life, back to reality. Yeah, let's have it.
Yeah, so I went back and looked, and the date on our first interview was June 29th of 2020. So we're about to hit about to hit some sort of 3-year anniversary milestone. So that's funny. We talked about our feelings of the pandemic and songs that matched perfectly. And that brings us right to present times like these, 2023. And your new acoustic EP is deeply beautiful. There's exuberance and excitement and inspiration, and a lot of it to go around. But there's also fatigue, a little disillusionment, and just a need to slow down a little bit, reflect, keep up. I don't know.
Yes. I could have said it better myself. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, there's
I'm just a singer. Fuck.
Well, there's so much I have been feeling lately, and these songs have matched perfectly the way that I've been feeling of there's so much beauty in the world. It's all happening really fast. And also I'm feeling like a little, overwhelmed, disillusioned a little bit. And just the way that I've been feeling, words, I don't know, all these words, but the way that I've been feeling, I put on Soul Revolution, and all the, not one song specifically. I just listened to all of them over and over and over, and they blend perfectly into each other. And the message is so good on all of them. That's how I've been feeling, is exactly those songs. So I just want to know how long you've been holding those songs in, or those feelings in. I'm glad that they're out now, because it feels very specifically post-pandemic to me.
Well, there it is. Yeah. Soul Revolution, we immediately hit the road once the world was like, oh, well, it's time to start doing this again. And a lot of bands still had a lot of time there was still time off and stuff, and people were still kind of getting back to norm. But we had been working through the pandemic because we put out a record right before COVID. So we fell into that whole COVID record, psych thing that didn't work well for a lot of bands. And then we immediately were like, we got to do something. And we started working on the record, Soul Revolution. And one of the first songs we wrote was Be Free. And that really, there's a lyric, they're calling this the new normal, it talks about the new normal. This is how life is going to be going forward, with these regulations and with this fear and not wanting to interact with people, or not being able to interact with people, and really sucking the air out of the room, so to speak. They were sucking the life out of people, draining the life force of the soul, and leaving the soul of the earth hollow. So it was very, very post-pandemic. It was very much these are the words, and this is how I can describe how I'm feeling, what I think people are feeling, how interacting with people has made me feel, and I had to express it. And those were the songs, like The Message, just people spewing hatred and violence and this division that was happening everywhere, not just in the United States, but there were these very clear lines that were starting to not just be about politics and the pandemic, but they were starting to blur and seep into every aspect of our lives. And we were becoming so vicious and angry towards each other that we were forgetting about family. We were forgetting about friendships. We were forgetting about love. We were forgetting about the soul and just going straight with these feelings in our minds that were being implanted and told and taught to us. So I had to talk about that. And like on the message, which I was referring to, about you think you're teaching me violence, but, Jah, the spirit inside, guides with love. Like I'm guided by love and I'm unmoved by your message of hate. I'm unmoved by this message of division. And this soul revolution is my message of deliverance to people. This is my message of hope. This is my message of learning to live in a world so cold. The world's fucked up, and the world got really fucked up. And the pandemic exposed a lot of ugliness in the world, and it drew away from the real life and the beauty that the world can provide. So I had to speak on that, and I wasn't ashamed. And I didn't want it to be like I'm pissed off, the world sucks, because a lot of times it was just like, oh, don't talk about virus, and don't use the word virus. And I think virus is probably the most overused word in metal anyway. Everything's a virus. Love is a virus. Hatred, virus. Everyone wants to write about viruses and shit like that. But, they were like, don't talk about certain things on your record. And I was like, nah. I'm going to talk about exactly how I feel and exactly what this is doing to me and exactly what you're doing to me. And I'm talking about industry in that regard, because the gatekeepers that exist in this world want you to fit into this one box so that it makes it easier for them to digest and makes it easier for them to then go on and sell to the rest of the world. But I don't give a shit about if they can't digest it. I know I need their opinion in order to maybe reach a listener that I haven't reached, but you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to talk about it. And this record was my way of talking about it. And, it was off the beaten path as far as rock and metal are concerned in my regard, in my opinion, because it doesn't typically have the air of a rock metal record that comes out, and it has this air of, and this ethos of hip hop and reggae. And at the center of it is this message of just pure love and love for oneself and self-realization, which I don't think we get a lot of in music these days. Bands like Beartooth, and Caleb has a very triumphant underdog story, and he tells it in his music. But I don't think there's anything like what I'm talking about. And I had to stay comfortable in my frame. And Soul Revolution was me being comfortable in my frame, I think, and it grounded me a little bit. And it exposed a lot of fucking pieces of shit in this business too. So, and why I say that is because now you really know what people feel about you when you're yourself and you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Now you know how people really feel about you.
What a powerful way. And I think that's like a tool and like a perfect way to say it. Something you said, you were like, I am unmoved by your hate, and I'm unmoved by like the way you're, like I am unmoved, and I won't like, I love the way that you said that. I'm unmoved in the way that like I come from a place of love, and you can't fucking change that. I love that.
No, you will never change that. I can be as angry as possible, and I'm aggressive. You know what I'm saying? And I had a very violent background. You know what I'm saying? I used to fight a lot. I've seen a lot of people. I've seen a lot of things that kids probably shouldn't have seen growing up and been exposed to certain things. But again, that's not much different from the environment and the type of socioeconomic background that I have, so to speak. But I know what that looks like. And I don't want that for myself anymore. And I don't want that for anyone. So I also know that I have to speak out on that. And when people come with their bullshit and their hatred and they want to come with their aggression, like, bro, I'm unmoved. I've seen it all. You don't scare me.
And I'm really so much. So I wanted to talk about Be Free, because I can just hear it in my head, just hearing it, and the melody, it feels like nothing else. But just the lyrics, because I love to, if someone hasn't heard the song and like, oh my God, check out these lyrics. The lyrics should Be Free that just get me. I don't feel quite that normal. Life has been quite strange. Yeah. And that one, it's like, oh, tear in the eye. Life has been quite strange. Like, I forgot my face. Like, I forgot my name. Feel like we lost all grace. Something different about this place. God, isn't that like, I feel that. And God, see, I feel like I'm tearing up a little bit, but like, I feel like I'm in a very different place in my life. And I feel very self-actualized, and it's a little scary. Like, it's kind of like, I would say like dreams are coming true, and I have like all these things I want in my life, but it's also like a little scary, and like, it's just like,
yeah, it's a coming of age sort of deal too, man.
Yeah.
And you're always learning. And when I was a kid and people are like, you're always going to be learning and always learn and always keep your mind open and always do this and always do that, I was like, man, shut up. I know what I know, and I'm going to know what I know. But as I've grown older, you don't know everything, and you are always learning. And that, if you don't, and there's that whole thing, if you don't get it at 5, you won't get it at 50 kind of deal. But I think it is, if you can learn at 5, you can learn at 50. And if you can learn at 10, you could learn at 20. You can learn at 30. You know what I'm saying? So I kept myself open, and I've kept my mind open to be able to do that. And life was scary. Life is that whole pandemic shit. I mean, if anyone, like, looking back now, you see these dudes now and guys in bands and like, yeah, whatever, bro. I did this and I did that, and I was able to do this, and I started a business, and I did this, and I changed my life. And you see these fucking clowns on YouTube talking about, you want to make $1 million just sitting on your ass. Like, shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Stop lying to people. We were all scared. None of us were like, what, especially when your life was teetering, was right there at the tipping point. Like, you were far from God, we were at this point where we were about to accelerate, you know what I'm saying? And all these great things were happening for the band. And then bang, it just stopped out of nowhere. So I was very dejected. I was very deflated. I was very let down. And I wanted to express those feelings. And writing Be Free, yeah, I felt all of those things. But the chorus was like, you know what? Just let it go. Just breathe and be free. Just be free. Like, there isn't any magic formula that's going to change the way my life is going to turn out. There isn't some deep hidden philosophy that I need to ascertain. I don't need your secrets to being a better person ad before I fucking want to watch a cool video on YouTube. Fuck you, dude. I don't want to hear what you have to say, because what you're saying is fucking bullshit. Because all I really have to do in order to change my mind, in order to ascertain this overall soul revolution, I just have to let it go and be free. You know what I'm saying? It's like some Nike shit. Just do it.
And another, I just remembered I had a thought from a few days ago, like, kind of building upon like what you're talking about. With today's pressures, and there's a lot of them, there's another side to that song that I was just randomly thinking about, because songs have layers. This song is like, so like your inner, it's like your inner voice, basically. Like when you sing like Be Free, and it's kind of like, but if I don't like learn how to be free and just be free, it's going to fucking kill me.
Yeah.
Like, so if I don't like just be free, fuck, it's going to fucking kill me. And like, exactly. I'm getting ready to go to Europe for like 3 weeks, and I've been very stressed, and I've been like doubling and tripling in work. everything to get ready for it. And I've just been under a lot of stress. And I was thinking, but if I don't just be free, there was a sing song right the podcast. It's like, it's gonna fucking kill me if that's calm this on top.
Yeah. You just gotta let it go. Just let it go and be free. Yeah, it's applicable. And that's why I write those kind of songs. And I write songs like that because I want people to understand that life is challenging, but you don't have to be so hard on yourself. And that's one thing that I'm learning. And I don't have to be so hard on myself because regrets, can kill you. That's actually a reference to a demo that didn't make the record, but I think people will like that song when it comes out. It's a song about regret and what regret can do to you, because they have had a lot of regrets. And like I was telling you the other day, that you get to a certain point in your life where that fear and doubt that you've carried with you throughout life, and that fear and doubt that comes with growing and experiencing things, can start to turn into regret. Because fear and doubt, all you have to do is just kind of turn on and activate, and you don't have to consider that, or don't even have to pay attention to it anymore. You can just do and go do something, and that fear and doubt goes out the window. But when you get older and your energy levels start to change, and your tolerance levels start to change, that fear and doubt can turn into regret, because it turns into the idea of missed opportunities. And will you ever get that opportunity back? Am I still that same person? Have I peaked? So don't let fear and doubt turn it into regret. Just do it now so that you don't have to regret it later.
And one thing I will add to that, and tell me if I'm wrong or if I'm right, but the main thing that like anyone could have regret about in their life, say it's like a dream or something like that. For me, I found my dream and like my regrets, like I didn't launch Scandalous as a brand for like a decade because I was too afraid to. And it was because I doubted myself. But like I was well known in the industry, like as Scandalous forever. Like everyone knew me, but I was fear. And struggling to like put it into words, but like the same thing I'm doing now, I've wanted to do since I was 17. So if you know that there's something, save yourself the time. Don't do what I did. Save yourself the time. Because like what I'm doing now, I'm having so much success at, like, I'm so thankful for, is what I've been wanting to do since I was like 17. And I'm finally doing it. And I could have been doing it the entire time. And, I'm trying to say that the thing that you might regret one day is the thing, if you think about it, like off the top of your head, what do you want to do? That one thing that's right there that you want to do it, because it won't go away. And it
could be what changes your life. So just fucking do it. I don't know. Now I feel like I'm endorsing Nike, although I really do like Nike products, but I feel like I'm endorsing Nike. Have you seen that movie Air?
Oh yeah, I watched it. It's really good.
Yeah. Kind of, it's kind of those like ode to your childhood kind of things, because Michael Jordan was so big and Nike was so big when our childhood and growing up. So it kind of made it like, you kind of felt like Jordan. I don't know. I felt like I was Jordan there, I felt like I was Matt Damon's character, just wanting this guy to win, that underdog story. I wanted him to win. Why? Because we're fucking winners in this country. We're winners in general, and people want to win, and I want to win. So I wanted that guy to win. So that was a very good, feel-good story, I'm talking about Nike a lot. I think I want to go shopping. That's probably what it is.
All I wear is Nike. Like,
yeah.
Actually, like, we talked about the pandemic so much, it was my birthday. So my birthday's in March. I went and bought myself like 7 pairs of heels, 7, 8, something like that, pairs of heels. Pandemic hit. I never wore any of those heels, and I've been wearing my little like Nike flat siders, like, in no other shoe, maybe flip flops here and there. I've
Yeah.
worn nothing but Nike flats since the pandemic hit. And I used to
Word.
be different. I used to wear heels, but no, all I wear is Nike. Like that's with when I dress, I wore this
You looked a little bit sporty when I saw you at the Spirit Box show too. I was like, huh, that's different. But
yeah,
cool. Fuck it.
yeah.
Just do it. Okay, I'm gonna stop now. This is getting obnoxious. I
No, but I love it. I love,
need some
I love,
retail
I
therapy. I
love
think
doing
that's
that.
what it is, man.
Well, I was thinking, and you can tell me about this. I know you've been overseas. I feel unprepared. Like I didn't buy enough stuff to wear in Europe, but I'm kind of like, I can just buy stuff over there. But I
Dude,
was wondering if
I
stuff's going to be more
overpack for
expensive.
tour.
Yeah.
I overpack. Yes, it will be actually. Like
Okay. I was
as
wondering
far
if
as
it's
things
going to be
being
like way more
expensive,
expensive.
they will be. So definitely anything that you think like I'll be on tour and I'll overpack and have everything I want, but because I like clothes, I'll see something and I'm like, oh, I need that. So you walk into a Levi shop and you'll see something that you don't get in the States. And you'll be like, oh, that's tight. I haven't seen that. Or that I thought that line was finished. And, now you see it pop up in Europe and you'll want to buy it. And it'll be like, you'll pay a 3 times premium for it. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Okay.
don't save yourself the trouble, pack light, especially since you're going for 3 weeks, and then go and enjoy yourself. Because I do that shit all the time. I take 2 suitcases on tour. I have a bag just of shoes. Everyone hates it. My shit's all over the bus. My shit's all over the fucking the green room because I have so much stuff. You know what I'm saying? I pick out 2, 3 different outfits that I'm gonna wear on stage. I lay them all out, then I have to put them all back. You know what I'm saying? But and that stopped for a while when we were just wearing Fire from the God shirts on stage because that was the kind of look for American Sun. We were doing this very uniform look as a band. But yeah, I can be that person. So I'm telling you, just, act like it. Don't save yourself the mental trouble of, oh, I might need this for now. I might need that for now. No, just be disciplined. Because you're gonna have so much fun. You're not gonna have time to fucking shop for clothes. You're gonna be doing so much other cooler stuff. You're gonna be seeing so much cooler stuff. You're not gonna want to sit there and sift,
Yeah.
through sift through clothes and all that shit. No, just go.
Yeah. It's my thing is my jewelry collection.
Yeah.
Like I always travel with like 10, 15 necklaces, and I usually travel with all my best pieces. And I was like, should I be minimal?
Yeah.
Like, what if I get robbed or something? Like, what if something gets lost?
Stay away from places. Stay away from certain places.
Well,
No, I'm joking.
I
don't know.
bought a few air tags. I was like, I'm gonna air tag my boob and make sure my mom knows where my boob air tag is at all times. Like one for my bag, all the things. They have I got like
Wait, is that like a personal identifier? Your boob air tag?
it's gonna it'll be good. Like no one's getting in this boob air tag, and I want my mom to have the boob air tag coordinates at all times to know where I am.
That's a new one. Good. I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Because I turn my location off my phone a lot, and it's not, because people always want to know where you are, and I'm like, I can't take that shit. Yeah. Oh, bro, you're in such and such. Yo, why didn't you call me? No, I'll tell you if I'm in town, and especially if I'm on tour, you'd know where I'm at. So
yeah. Okay, so switching gears, you have a new project, or should I say label, called Social Pariah. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the Audio Pariah Entertainment, APE for short, is a label dedicated to artists that are cutting edge, something new. We want to take chances. A lot of people are not taking chances in this business these days. There's a lot of people that are afraid to do and afraid to step out into the wild. And us, the Audio Pariah, man, they've put us on the outside and they've made us look like we felt for a long time that people didn't really want to hear what we had to say. So we're like, fuck it, let's start our own label. You know what I'm saying? Audio Pariah. First release is June 16th. Young Marsh. Check them out. A single called Facts.
finishing the podcast. Okay.
Yes, let's do it.
And your song, 1,000 Lifetimes.
Yes.
My soul, my blood, God, I knows I paid the price of 1,000 lifetimes. That is so heavy. And kind of what you were talking about, just keep fucking going when you feel like you're getting. I saw a funny meme yesterday and I posted it. It was like, life is a party and I'm the pinata. That's a funny way of talking about that. Like, it's just God, it's like, right. Yeah, life is a party and a pinata. You know, I paid the price of 1,000 lifetimes.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk about that song?
Yeah. 1,000 Lifetime started out as this kind of dedication to my mom and her dedication and her diligence and in her parenting. And my mom wasn't a great parent, and she'd be the first to tell you that. But at the same time, she was a very good parent, because when she talks about not being a great parent, she likes to talk about her mistakes and what she regrets about her parenting. And let me not say she wasn't a great parent, but my mom's a great person. And it's hard parenting's not easy. But what she gave up and what she did for my sisters and I, and the women in my life, who, for whatever reasons, there weren't a lot of male role models, but, there were a lot of hardworking women that really put a lot on the line for me and for the people that they loved. And it started out as this ode to a mother's love and to a mother's dedication to her tribe, so to speak, her brood, say mama bears and out there. And I saw my mom put in everything she had and put her life on the line, basically, and sacrifice everything she had, her sleep, her happiness, just to make sure her kids were safe, make sure her kids were fed, make sure her kids had a roof over their head. And it became this broader meaning and definition of the song, became very widespread when it started, because people started adopting it and saying and applying it to the other people in their lives that filled that role. And then it just became this song about the warriors in your life that will step up for you, and a lot of our fans are these blue collar workers and military personnel and first responders and people that just, people that really have to go the extra mile to put food on the table sometime. And just the simple thing like putting food on the table and making that sacrifice. So that was my kind of way of honoring them, because I've seen it. And I know that I've done everything that I can, and I'm doing everything and being and putting my life on the line just to specifically achieve this dream. And I've given everything to it. I'm giving everything I got, and I'm continuously giving more. And that example, and the reason why I do that is because I took that example from those strong people in my life that I saw do that put their sweat, their tears, and their blood. And those exact words of my soul, my blood, I've given, all that I can give. That I heard my mom say that very exact thing, and she was going through something really rough one day, and she was, she said things that were borderline suicidal. And when I say by borderline suicidal, she said everything but I want to kill myself. And I'm being open and honest because I love this woman, and our relationship is open and honest. So, and when I read the lyrics to her, she broke down and said, this is for you. This is because of you, and my grandmother and my sister who served this country dutifully for 20 plus years, and my two cousins and my uncles who served, my stepdad who served this country. And, so it's taken this very broad definition of those people that are willing to step up for you and willing to step up for those they love. They've given all they can, and they've given enough to serve for 1,000 lifetimes. So honor those people, love those people, because they love you, because they would give up everything for you. So if you have that someone in your life, just make sure you tell them and show them that song. and dedicated to him, because it's dedicated to the overworked, those that have put everything on the line for those they love until it hurts. You know what I'm saying? So that's the story behind A Thousand Lifetimes.
Like, it's like beautiful. And it's very humbling as well, to like hear other people's stories. And that's such a beautiful story. And I can't tell you like how many times my mom, my mother feels that way a lot, and she feels so overwhelmed all the time. So thank you for sharing about your mom, because I'm like, my mom too.
Yeah, see?
Mhm.
My a manager of ours, we talked about the song, and he goes, and I was like, yeah, do you think it's too sappy? Is it too emotional? Is it not, is it not like metal enough? And he was like, no, he's like, fucking rock dudes have moms too, right? I was like, yeah, you're right.
I love that. But also, like,
So
I don't, uh, but I also like the whole like rock metal thing. I'm listening to a lot of folk right now, and I'm also listening to Slayer, and I'm also listening to you. And like tomorrow, I'm having Semi Rotted, Jeremy Spencer's new band on. Like that's death metal.
Wait, what's the name of his new band?
So I love this about Jeremy. He was like, you know what, the devil thing, people didn't get it. But he's really like not doing the project. But he started a death metal thing. And I just love that he had the wherewithal to be like, hey, you know what? It's fine. People didn't really grasp onto this. No, but it's fine. Hey, I'm gonna do this. And I love that. And that's confidence. Ooh. And it's like peace with yourself. And the way he's like, didn't work. I'm gonna do this. And it's great. So, and he like, I feel so blessed. He like sent me songs before like they were released. And I was like, fuck yeah, I love that. So he's got this really cool death metal project called Semi Rotted. He had a song with the singer for Lorna Shore. Just got a new drummer. So like he's doing it. It's great. So you're allowed to like be soft and like be neo soul and R&B and like, and I'm allowed to, however you describe it, it feels great to me. And I'm also allowed to listen to folk music and love death metal at the same time. It really like listening to people online talk, like, God, people really must think this, that you really do have to be a certain way. But you really don't. It may never happen. No. Yeah. No. Well, I thank you. That's like the best reason in the world to podcast is because I wouldn't have known that story about that song. So that's beautiful. I love it. But I did want to talk about your song, Love is Dangerous. Earlier you said like people were like, oh, what is this? I can't imagine that, because watching that video and watching the ballet dancers in the video, I was watching the video and it was like, there's AJ. Look at AJ. He's living art. Your art incarnate, like you are living art. Like you didn't, watching that video, listening to you no longer were a person to me. You were like art on a canvas. And that was so beautiful. And I love that song. And that is like, I tell you things about my love life, like, that is a heart-wrenching. I'm sure like when I'm in a different place, I'll feel differently about that song, because you always feel differently about songs later on. But, that is such an intense song.
It beautiful. Is. Because love is dangerous, and when you give into that, when you give into it, when you give your heart away into whatever it may be, and it does not necessarily have to be with someone that you're involved romantically with, but it can be whatever you're giving your heart to. But that song really specifically talks about the push and pull between it, and the lyrics are very specific, and it's about obviously, or the lyrics talk about a relationship between you and a person. It could be two people, right? But the overall theme with Fire from the Gods, like there's always a two-prong kind of thing. You know, it's always what's on pen and what pen to paper looks like and what's on paper, and you can interpret it for yourself. But then there's also this deeper meaning to it, and it's really about the push and pull, and the push and pull and the polar opposites that sometimes kind of attract, which is weird when it comes to chemistry and the way people are and the way relationships work. You have to find a balance, you know, and even though you're going through the roughest times together, or even though you're experiencing this tumultuous, exciting, fulfilling situation, there's always this mortal dread, this existential threat that it could all come crashing down because of just one thing, one emotion. One thing can let it all fly off the handle. That's why the dancers, you know, and that was a perfect collaboration between us and Wombat, who filmed and did the visuals for Soul Revolution. Wombat's a fantastic videographer, very a, a long time servant to this business and industry, and has worked with so many different artists. And we were blessed to get a full record kind of with Wombat. And Love is Dangerous was perfect, you know, and the writing, the lyrics on the body, and, you know, wearing your art. Yeah, because it was about the art. It was not about a band displaying or a visual for a band. It was about a visual for a feeling, a visual for a thought that became living art, not about a rock band trying to look cool on screen. It had nothing to do with anything like that. It was just very much, let's talk about this art. You know, that's why the band wasn't in the video that much. There was a lot of the band, but it was enough of the band, excuse me, not a lot of the band, but it wasn't about the band. It wasn't about Fire from the Gods. It was about talking about this situation and this push, this pull, this polarity between your soul and your heart and your feelings and your emotions and what it can fucking do to you. Because no matter who you are, or how confident you are, stable you are, love is dangerous. And when you give yourself to something and it kind of falls apart, you lose a little bit of yourself as well. So you got to guard your heart, or, you know, just give your all to it and see where it goes, you know. So that's what that is.